Today's subject, last week we talked about all the different ways to use Naviance. Today we're going to talk about the common application. It is likely, extremely likely, that you will be applying to a college that is a member of the common application, that uses the common application. What is the common application? Well, it was developed in 1975, initially by a group of 15 colleges. Harvard was one of them. Harvard, I understand, is a pretty decent school, but many of the other ones were actually Southern schools. Davidson, Wake Forest, for example. And this group of schools got together at a conference and said, you know, we all ask these students the same questions. Why don't we just set up an application that asks those questions and allow them to just use the one application? Genius, right? Of course, I wish that had been the case when I applied to college, because I applied to college in 1967, and I applied to 5 schools and filled out 5 completely different applications, even though 80% of the questions were the same. Of course, I didn't use a computer. I used a typewriter. Do we all know what typewriters are? Yeah, typewriters, okay. Yes, so I used a typewriter to do, so. Anyway, so those 15 schools have grown, and the common application now has 1,042 members. Who applies to 1,042 schools? Well, no one, thankfully. The Common App actually only allows you to apply to 20 using the Common App, but you can use other applications. I'll go briefly into that. So the Common Application will allow you to apply to, for example, every single small liberal arts college in the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Every one of them is on the Common App. You can apply to all 8 Ivy League schools on the Common App. Although, to me, it would be evidence that you really didn't do your research on colleges if you apply to all 8 Ivies, because they're really different from each other. And I can't imagine that you would like to go to Dartmouth if you would like to go to Penn, because Penn's a city school and it's big, and Dartmouth is a very small school in the middle of nowhere. A very pretty middle of nowhere, but still the middle of nowhere. The zip code at Dartmouth is EIEIO, just to say, where it is. So you can do all 8 Ivies if you'd like. 45 of the 50 state universities, Penn State, Wisconsin, etc., are on the Common Application. The 2 main exceptions are California. The University of California has its own application. Thanks, California. Rutgers, good old Rutgers next door in New Jersey is not on the Common Application either. They have their own application. And some of the schools that are on the Common Application also have their own application. So you can use theirs if you don't want to use the Common. So the Common Application is more than likely going to be very handy for you. When can you begin using the Common Application? Right now. The Common Application is open to anyone 14 years of age or older. So you can, theoretically, start an account in Common App when you're in 9th grade. Now, I don't necessarily think you'll want to do that, because number one, your friends will all laugh at you. No, you wouldn't tell them if you ever did that to do. And number 2, why? You've got a life. Don't worry about it then. Most people will start to really delve into the Common App sometime in the 2nd semester of junior year. As you start to begin to make a college list and explore different schools where you might want to attend, and you want to then take a look and see what is expected of you from those schools. I am going to warn you, we'll go over this when we start looking at the Common App. Common App doesn't show you everything required right away. And Gabby and I were talking about this previously. I don't mean to be cynical, but I think that's deliberate, that they don't want you to wig out because now you all of a sudden see you have to write an extra essay. So they hide it. Now they don't hide it, like you don't have to find it. But let's say you decide to apply to a certain college in the early decision plan. Okay, so you hit the little button that says early decision and an essay pops up. Or let's say you wanted to apply to the physical therapy program in Villanova. An essay pops up. Or let's say you decide among the 8 colleges at Cornell University to which one you would apply, and an essay pops up. And if you apply to a different college, you get to write a different essay for that. So we will go through this step by step. I'll go slowly. You can ask as many questions as we go. And I will do my screen share and bring up my Common application. So the Common App website is very simple, commonapp.org. Very simple to do. And that's what this is what it looks like. This lovely young woman with a very pretty smile that I've seen far too much in my life. I think they need to have like a rotating picture, and I think it ought to be random. They should just pick pictures of people, high school students, and just like keep showing them to do.
Wait, Cigus,
So
I'm curious. How long has that picture been on the Common App?
she's on her 3rd year now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. Let's mix it up here a little bit to do. All right. So you see up on the right, it says sign in or create an account. Obviously, if you're first going to it, you're going to create an account. And this is not unlike creating an account for Starbucks or Macy's or whatever to do. They ask you some questions and they give you, they give you access with a username and a password. So I already have an account, so I'm going to press the sign in button. And I am a 1st year student. I am applying as a 1st year student coming right out of high school. So I press that button. And then here's my sign in information. I will actually put this in the chat if at some point you want to examine my fake Common application, which is what this is. Not fake in that it's a bad one, but fake in that it can't go anywhere. So you can't pretend that you're me and apply to college because it won't go anywhere. So, anyway, okay, so I'm going to sign in. And the first thing you'll see with Common App is what's called a dashboard. Now, you're not going to see what is going to be visible in the next second. It's not going to look like this for you because you won't have any colleges on the Common application. But I already do because I've set this up so that I can show you what it looks like. So I have this number of colleges here, all these different schools to which I may apply. And you might be thinking, nice, I guess you tell us not to apply to 1 million schools and you're applying to 1 million schools. Well, the reason why I have as many on this is because I'm helping my students. And some of my students say, well, I'm applying to Fordham University and I need some help. So I go on and add Fordham, and then I can look at their application and see exactly what the student means to do. So, I mean, you can tell these are not for me because I identify as a male and Barnard College is an all-women's school. So that wouldn't work. I'd be rejected right off the bat from doing that. Right? So your first stop would be to go here, this tab that says college search. Okay, right here. I love using this pencil thing. Okay. That's college search. Clear all drawings, go away. because this is where you put the schools on. Now, I would encourage you to think broadly for this. I don't expect you, and neither does Common App, to put the final 5 schools on and just go from there. But put the schools on in which you are interested or which you think you may be interested, and you can list up to 20 schools to do. So let's say I definitely want to stay local. So you know what? Let me apply to St. Joseph's. Okay, St. Joseph. Right. So there we go. St. Joseph's University. Okay. So I hit the add button. And now St. Joseph's is part of my thing. So go back to dashboard. And you'll see St. Joseph University. Ding, 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 ding. St. Joseph's, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but St. Joseph's University last year merged with the University of the Sciences. So it's now one school. It's one school. University of the Sciences is still there. They haven't left their place at 43rd and Woodland in West Philadelphia. It's out near Penn. And they still do all these amazing science programs, pharmacy, et cetera. But it's now part of St. Joseph's. It made it a lot more financially viable because St. Joseph's has a decent amount of money that they can use. So, and then I say, well, okay, let me go maybe a little bit outside the city. So I'll go to Arcadia University. Arcadia is a small school in Glenside, known for its programs in psychology, education, and the arts. Arcadia also has one of the best in my mind, exchange programs to colleges in the United Kingdom. They've been doing it for 60 years. Great, great programs. And the coolest thing about Arcadia, they took over an old site that had an immense castle type building on it. An old, I guess, mansion, if you would, from a wealthy family. So you can live in a castle if you go to Arcadia. So I add Arcadia. Okay? And now I decide, okay, well, I'm okay if I go across the river. So let me apply to Rutgers, right? But Rutgers is not on the Common Application. And Common App will tell me, it will say, yeah, no, this is not, this school is not on the Common Application. So if I wanted to apply to Gratz College, Gratz is up in Elkins Park. It's mostly for Jewish studies and rabbis. Can't do it here. It's not going to work, right? Or if I wanted to go a little farther away and apply to Georgetown, well, Southwestern University is there, but that's because it's located in Georgetown, Texas, which is kind of weird, Georgetown, Texas, okay? So Georgetown is not on the Common App. So you may find that the school for which you're looking is not on the Common App. Go to that school's website, find out if they're on a different type of Common App. There are some other ones other than our own Common App here, or whether they just simply have their own, like Georgetown has its own application to use, right? So you put your colleges on, and here's the really cool thing about it. I go to the dashboard again. I can get rid of them just like that. Boom, gone. See you, Barnard. You're done. Right? I can go to Fordham. Don't need Fordham anymore. Goodbye. Goodbye. Now, the schools don't know any of this. The schools can't look at your Common App until you actually send it to them, right? So if, however, you choose them and you put them on the dashboard in the first place, they might send you an email because Common App will let them know that you're originally on the list. Again, if you take them off, it's perfectly fine. Nothing's going to happen. Put them back on again. You can always do that to do. So here's the dashboard here. Now, this here, the tab that says Common App, This is the actual Common App itself. This is where you're going to go and fill in all of the information that you're being asked for. Okay? So let's take a look at what's here. So the Common App has actually two features. There's the main menu, which is this, and then just to the left, where it says My Colleges, these are questions that each individual college gets to ask you, okay? So My Colleges, this one here to the left. So for example, if I'm applying to Drexel, right, Drexel might ask me certain questions that aren't on the regular Common Application, or they're going to ask me more specific questions. So be prepared that the main menu is only about 2/3 of what's expected of you. The way I like to say this is the Common App is really only about 2/3 common. The other 1/3 are the questions that each college asks you. So what are these main menu items? Well, 6 of them are required, and one of them is required by about 45 of the schools. And I'll get to that later. So the first one is all about you. Profile, all about you. These are not difficult questions. Tedious, sure. How many times have you typed in your name and your address? But this is not hard to do. It's all about you to do, right? So address, contact details. So we get down here to demographics. So these are questions about how you identify. So you can identify your gender or not identify your gender. You didn't put anything here. If you notice, some of the questions have a little red asterisks next to them. Okay? If it doesn't have a red asterisk, it's not required. It's optional. It's optional. So here, legal sex, learn more. Basically, it's saying biologically how you were born, but you can, of course, give another pronoun set. I use I, me, and ours, and I don't mean to be a wise ass in doing that. I'm not mocking somebody that says they or she or he. No. I decided that I can't be a good he or her or him or anything less than a good I and me. And then ours is to show how determined I am to unite with other people. U.S. Armed Forces status, none. Again, I don't, clear answer. I don't have to answer it. Don't have to answer it to do. Are you Hispanic or Latinx? Right? I don't have to answer it to do. Right? Please indicate how you identify yourself. You may select one or more. So if you are a biracial individual, you can check 2 boxes if you'd like. And it's going to ask you, why do you describe your Asian background? Well, my mom was from Malaysia, cool country, like to do. Or I can just simply get rid of the checks and not do anything. Not do anything. Now, some people might say, maybe if you identify as a minority, it's going to help you get into college. Well, it's going to give you a certain set of patches that are going to be reserved for students that have been underserved. So individuals who are from those underserved populations, typically less economically able people, Blacks, Browns, certain Asian groups, Native Hawaiian groups. Oh, and by the way, just notice, Common App spells Hawaiian incorrectly. You would think that they would be a little more careful with this because there's an apostrophe between the 2 I's in Hawaii. Because there are the Hawaiian language, it's actually a separate language, never has 2 vowels the same without being separated. So it's actually pronounced Hawaii to do. So, and that's your lesson in trivia today, right? So I'll leave mine as white, right? Where did my family come from? My family came from Italy. Both my grandparents, all four of my grandparents were born in Italy and immigrated over here, right? So you may have been hearing that there are a number of lawsuits that are pending now about affirmative action, and that certain schools, among them Harvard University and the University of North Carolina, are being sued because of affirmative action. So sometimes people say, well, okay, maybe it's better if you identify yourself as a minority, because if those lawsuits are dismissed, it's going to be easier for you to get in. Well, you still have to qualify. Maybe if you qualify and you are a minority, you get a little bit of an extra push for that. Asian Americans sometimes have a really difficult time with this because although they may be a minority, there are certain statistics that say that many colleges under-enroll Asian students, that there's so many Asian students that are strong and capable that they don't get a fair shake in admissions. That's a subject we can debate for quite a while, and that's a personal decision that you will need to make, whether you want to check any of these boxes or multiple boxes to do. But again, if it doesn't have an asterisk, the little red asterisk, you don't have to, excuse me, sorry, hold on, as I sneeze my way through here. Oh, sorry. Right, so language is simple enough. What's your first language? Number of languages in which you are proficient, so grammatical error here, right? So I put 4, English, first language, speak, et cetera, et cetera. We spoke Italian in my household, so I knew all of these. I took 4 years of French in high school, so I could speak, read, and write French. And I took 4 years of Latin in high school, so I could read and write Latin. Okay? Now, just between you and me, a little personal thing here. I resent that they didn't put Latin in itself. I had to select other and then choose Latin. I'm insulted. So we come down here to geography and nationality, and this is going to ask you one really specific question. Again, none of these, no asterisk here. Okay, no asterisk here. So you don't have to answer any of these questions, but you do have to answer this one. Select your citizenship status, right? So these are the options that you have. Dual citizen, permanent resident, refugee asylum, DACA, right? The reason that this is being asked is this has to do with financial aid. This has to do with the amount of support that the college can give you and whether you are eligible for any financial aid from the government. That's why this question is being asked to do, okay? So, Common App fee waiver. All students who attend schools in Philadelphia get automatic fee waivers. So your answer to this question can be yes, because you receive a fee waiver for the SAT. You take one per year as a junior and a senior, and you get a fee waiver for that. So I certify that I meet the eligibility requirements. So you would sign it. Signed it means you type your name in here. And then UStrive is a Common App partner that connects you with free qualified mentors online. So I have been a UStrive person myself. I don't do this anymore now because I'm pretty busy with what I do here. But you can ask for help through UStrive. Someone will reach out to you, qualified counselor, and you can ask them some questions as well. Okay? So fee waiver. What does fee waiver mean? Fee waiver means you don't have to pay any application fees. So if you apply to 5 schools, you pay $0, as in zero, as in nothing, as in nada. So this is a good thing. This is a good thing here. So that's profile. That's all about you to do. Okay. Okay. Does free ever mean the app fee is free or just lowers the cost? It's free, Bella. It's free. And you would not have to use it. Yep. Okay. So the next one is family. And here you just identify who lives with you, right? Parent status. I happen to have two parents. I'm going to point out this one question because it's a little bit odd here. Do you have any children? Okay. Why are they asking this? This seems like a really odd question to ask. It's because if you said yes, okay, they're going to ask you how many children you have. And they're going to also tell you, guess what? You're independent. Because if you contribute 50% or more of the support of a child, you are considered a parent yourself. And you don't have to supply any information about your parents. You're automatically independent. Now, let me say this as firmly as possible. Please do not have children just to get a better price in college. That will not work out because then you have another child, you have a child to care for. Child may end up costing you more money than it does going to college. So don't do that, right? So you give information about your parent, information about your sibling. That's a pretty easy one, okay? So the next one is education, right? So education is first going to ask you about your high school. You list your high school. When did you start? When are you going to graduate? Just basic stuff, again, for that. Did you attend any other high school? No, I just went to my own high school. Okay. Some students have changed schools. Some students have moved. So that would go here. Did you attend any colleges or universities? Well, I actually did. In my junior year summer, I took classes at Loyola University in New Orleans. It was kind of like, ooh, I have a chance to get away. I'm going to get as far away as possible. So I ended up in New Orleans. And I took college level courses, a summer program for that. Then it's going to ask you about your grades. Okay. Would a 5-week college summer course count for the college thing? Absolutely. Absolutely. And you would put it just as let me go back, actually, Bella. Let me put it back up again. You would describe it just the way I did. Summer program. Now, it's possible that you could attend a college program that actually gives you college credit, okay? And you could check that box also. Okay, you could do that also. Now, my program, this is very sad. My program gave me credits, but the college that I ended up choosing to attend did not accept them. So, not that I did it for nothing. I had a great experience with it. So that's what you would do. You would list the program here. You know, you'd find the college. Okay, search out for the college. Hit summer program, do your dates. You didn't earn a degree, so this is a blank. And then you move on to grades. So they're going to ask you for your grades up till the beginning of your junior year. So your graduating class size, does your school rank? Some do, some don't. So you would say, yes, we rank, and you give your class rank. Is the rank weighted or unweighted? What does that mean? Well, if your school gives extra points for, say, honors courses or AP courses or IB courses or something like that, then you get extra points for those. So an A is not a 4.0, it's maybe a 4.5 or a 5.0. Okay? So you give the GPA scale. It just so happened that the high school that I worked at, Cherry Hill, the high school that I worked at had a scale that went all the way up to 7 to do. Okay? Do you send in your AP scores directly on Common App? Yes, if you choose. If you choose. You have the choice. You don't have to put them in. You can. You don't. have to share anything about your AP, but you don't have to do it in College Board, because when you take AP exams in your senior year, one of the questions that you will answer is, to which college have you committed? And they will send your AP scores for you. It's the only thing you'll ever get for free from the College Board. They'll send your AP scores for you. But up until that senior year time, you just put your AP scores, the ones you want to report. If you don't want to report them, you don't have to. Just put them in. I'll show you. That's the next section in testing. I'll show you where to go. How do we know to put in weighted or unweighted? Well, it's whatever your school gives you. If they give you both, you put in both. I will say this, the college is going to prefer the weighted GPA. Here's why. The weighted GPA is only going to have academic classes: English, math, science, world language, those kinds of classes. And if you go to a school that has an arts program, a music program, a STEM program, there might be other classes that are considered academic for that. The problem with the unweighted GPA is that a high school can put whatever they want in it. They could put gym in it. They could put health in it. They could put those annoying financial literacy courses that you have to take in it. So you would put both in if you're given both of them, but the college is going to look much more firmly and much more meaningfully on the weighted GPA, because they know that those are academic courses to do. So now here, where it says current or most recent classes, these are your senior classes that go here. So you may put stuff in here and then you find out, oh, my schedule doesn't actually work, and you may have to change this. It's okay, easy to move things around to do, right? So you just tell them what classes that you're going to take, AP classes, the things that you do, blah, blah, blah. Everything goes in here, by the way. So they're not talking about just academic classes. So if you're taking a gym class or a health class or something like that, that goes in here as well to do. The next section is for honors. Now, these are academic honors, academic achievements. So this is not captain of the ultimate team. This is not concert mistress. These are academic honors. So this would be stuff like outstanding participant in the summer program, National Honor Society, French National Honor Society, delegate to leadership training conference, DECA, which is a business program to do. You get 5 settings. You can do all 5. You can do 0. It really depends on what you have here going for you. This is not a required section. It is required only if you answer yes. If I answer no, all of these things would disappear. All these things would disappear, right? So then we come down to community-based organizations. If you are getting outside help from a group like Project 440, for example, you would list that here. If you're getting help from Philadelphia Futures, anything like that. And then the last is future plans. What do you want to be when you grow up? So you don't know. Okay, that's not anything to be ashamed of. It's okay to be undecided, but I would not put undecided. You have a choice. You can put undecided. You put undecided, but it's going to make you look as if you're not really thinking about what your career interests would be. So instead, you're going to go to other, and you're going to give them any number of things about what you're thinking of. So maybe I want to do pre-med, but maybe I want to do research, and maybe I want to be a nurse. Okay. Or maybe I want to do some tech, but I want to really do art. and I want to be an art therapist, but I really want to be a helper. There you go. You get 150 characters. It's about 20, 25 words that you can use here, right? And highest degree you intend to earn, I don't even know why they ask this, but there it is. There it is. So in my case, I put a master's degree because you can't actually really be a counselor unless you have at least a master's degree. Okay, so halfway through the main menu, then we go to testing. This entire section is completely optional. You don't have to put anything in here, anything. Okay, so if you just go no, this entire section disappears. Disappears. Just like when you go to apply to colleges, you may choose to send your scores, you may choose not to send your scores to the schools that are test optional. There are some schools that still require testing. For example, if you applied to Georgetown, they require testing. The public universities in Florida require testing. But there are also some schools that are test-free, not test optional, test-free. You can't send them test scores because they don't accept them. The entire University of California system, test-free, test-free. Haverford College, one of the best small liberal arts schools in the country, test-free. Worcester Polytechnic Institute, big STEM school, test-free. Caltech, one of the most selective STEM schools in the country, test-free. So this is your choice, and you can choose which tests, if any, you want to report. So in this case, I reported an ACT test that I took. I totally made this up. I would never get scores like this, right? Never, never, never. The entire UC system is test-free. That includes not only the 9 major universities, but all the Cal State schools, all the Poly schools, Cal Poly SLO, San Luis Obispo, and all the state schools, Fresno State, et cetera, right? When you put tests on the Common App, do they go out to the colleges that take them? Well, Bella, that's a good question, and I don't know that that's been resolved yet, and here's why. There are about 400 plus schools that will harvest your test scores from the Common Application. So you don't have to send an official test score report. But we've had some confusion this fall about whether they actually do harvest them or whether you need to send an official report. So that's going to be something you're going to have to work through school by school when you do your applications next year. So for example, if you apply to Swarthmore, my old school, they will harvest your score if you put it in. They'll take it right from Common App. And the only time you would then have to send an actual score report would be if you decide to enroll. Because they want to get all the scores and see how everybody did. You're not in any way jeopardizing your acceptance. They just want to know what you did for that. Okay, so that's how that works. It's a little bit more complicated than it should be, frankly, and it should be, right? So I took the ACT and I gave myself a 34. ACT goes to 36, so I made myself really smart. Then on the SAT, how smart did I make myself here? Ooh, 750 and 750. I'm so smart. I'm so smart. Right. So you put it in, and then it just so happens that I got a better reading score the second time and a better math score the first time. Well, almost every college in the country is going to then give me credit for those 2 best scores. That's called super scoring. So I have a 1500, 750 plus 750. Maybe the first time I got a 1480 and the second time I got a 1420, but I have those 2 750s, one from the first time, one from the second time. Whoop, they come together. I've got a 1500. Woo! And then my AP scores, again, this is going to be a personal decision depending on where you apply. Some schools will accept 3s out of 5. AP goes from 1 to 5. 5's an A, 4 is a B, 3 is a C. No school that I know accepts a 1 or a 2, none. There are a few that accept a 3. For the most part, many schools accept 4. Most schools accept 5. But there are some schools that don't accept any. Dartmouth accepts no AP scores. And some schools where certain departments do accept them and others don't. See? What SAT score is a good cutoff to send them in? It depends upon where you are applying. Absolutely depends. So for most people, a 1500 would be a fabulously good score, wouldn't it? I mean, geez, not Caltech, not MIT. I mean, they're not those places. Average at MIT runs like 1560, you know, but you get 3 questions wrong and you're on the low end of things. So it really does depend on which school. And then you've got to make sure that you have current numbers as well. So you may have to wait until next fall when the numbers come out to get a good sense of what schools have what to do. Okay? But again, it's test optional. And I will say this, the schools that tell you that they're test optional, they really are. They really, really are test optional. Right. So AP, I list my scores, blah, 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 blah. But I'm also going to list the exams I'm going to take this year. So you can't forget that. If you're going to take a couple of AP exams in senior year, you put them in. So I'm going to take English literature this year. I'm going to take statistics this year. I take European history this year. I take music theory this year. But then I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, suppose I don't take any of those exams. Does it matter? This is May of my senior year. I've already been accepted to college. Are they going to tell me I can't come because I didn't take an AP exam? No. I told them I was planning to take it. See? Date planned to take it. So no. Be unafraid to list the AP classes that you're taking in senior year. Put them all in. Okay? So that's testing. Right? So the next is activities. This is the toughest one. Not because it's hard to do, because you know what your activities are. But this is tough to do because they really don't give you a lot of room. Right? So I am going to go to a different screen. Okay? Completing the activities section in Common App. So number 1, you're doing this in priority order. So whatever activity you list first, if I'm your reader, I know that you're voting for this as the most important activity that you do. Second most important, third most important, all the way down the line, right? If there's no place where you need to attach a whole transcript. Okay, I'll get to that, Josh. There are some schools that are asking for transcripts. Okay, there are some schools, but they're the minority. And I'll get to that a little bit later to do. So there are 10 slots that you can use. You don't have to use all 10. Okay, you really, really, really don't. I had a student a couple of years ago, a homeschooled student, a truly lovely young woman. And when she did her list together, we worked on this as a team. She had 9 activities, and she was determined to find a 10th one that she could put on. And if I told her once, I told her 12 times, you don't really have to do that. But you know how you know there's certain arguments you're not going to win? This was one of them, right? So she ended up putting in this. I'm going to You're going to die. So, type of activity, community service. Position, official Commonwealth spotted lanternfly squisher. Okay. Organization, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Description, as requested by His Honor, Governor Thomas Wolfe, I killed every single spotted lanternfly I could see. That's seriously what she put as her 10th activity. Now, two things about that. Number one, it wasn't serious. No, it wasn't. But number two, makes people laugh. I think one of the things that's tough is that you want to be serious about these college applications, but you can't forget that you have an amusing side. Now, I'm not saying corny or cutesy or dad joke kinds of things, but that was genuinely funny. And I'm sure the schools that read it got a kick out of that, especially after reading 30 or 40 applications that didn't have anything like that. So you are going to put these activities in order of importance to you. Don't try to outthink the colleges like, ooh, I better put French club before lacrosse. Well, maybe French club you meet once a month. And I know what you do in French club. Don't lie to me. You sit there and eat baguettes. You're telling everybody you're speaking. You're not speaking in French. Yeah, your mouth full of food. You're not speaking anything. But lacrosse you play every day. And you also do it at club. Lacrosse is more important than you. Come on. Put it in the order that's important to you. You should put in school activities as well as out of school activities. You should put in any employment you have. You put in any internships you have. Honors and awards, no. No. Because they have their own section, remember? They have a section in the education part. They have their own section. You might also put a hobby or a pastime in. Example, you're making bead bracelets at camp. That expanded to where you give those to friends on their birthdays, give them away to relatives. That's an appropriate thing to include. I used to make jewelry when I was in high school. I put that in as one of my activities, okay? Only activities in high school are included. The only exception to this is if this is an activity that you started before high school and you're still doing it. So, for example, I started riding horses when I was 5. I'm now competing in a national equestrian team at the Devon Horse Show. Absolutely. I joined Cub Scouts when I was 8. I'm now going for my Eagle Scout Award for Boy Scouts. So absolutely to do. But if you were Peter Pan for one showing of your 4th grade play, I don't care. So only something that's transcendent that goes on. If you need to change anything, you're not going to have to mess everything up. There are little arrows. I'll show them when we go back to Common App. There's little arrows where you can go back and forth and change the position. Okay? So how do you present these activities? You're first asked what type of activity it is, and there's a drop-down menu. Then you have a dialog box for position/leadership. You only get 50 characters here. 50. That's it. That's like 7 or 8 words. That's it. Okay. Then it goes for organization, right? What organization was it? So, I don't know, Central High School lacrosse team or Kappa French club or whatever the case might be to do. And then you finally get the description. Okay. And let me highlight this here. You are allotted 150 characters, 25 words. That's it. That's it. So you have to be pretty clever and pretty concise here, right? So let's say you play field hockey. So you identify field hockey. And then for position and leadership, sweeper, that's your position. Captain, comma, JV, comma, 10 for 10th grade. Anticipate the varsity captain, 12th grade. Okay, that doesn't look great. I agree, it doesn't look great, but that's what's expected because that's all the space that you're going to get for that. The abbreviations are perfectly legit and the clipped way that it's presented. So then you get to the description. JV starter, 9-10. Varsity starter, 11-12. Most improved, 11. Monmouth U camp, pre-11. Ursinus camp, pre-12. Teammate. Again, no pronouns. You know, I was the, no. No complete sentences. You won't have any room. You do phrases, clauses. The best way I would put this, the semicolon is your best friend. Okay, you're not going to offend the colleges. This is what they expect. And then Common App will ask you how many hours per week, how many weeks per year. Make your best guess because they just want to get some idea of how much time you put into this. So student government might look like this. Position leadership. Member 9-12, class secretary 10-10-12, organization, high school student government. Description, chair of school township relations committee 11-12, recorded and published minutes 11-12. School chorus, blah, 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 blah. And here you can have a little fun. I work at Delancey Street Bagels, okay? Position leadership, counter sales and prep. Description, responsible for closing on weekends and for cleanup as well. Would you like that toasted, ma'am? Like, what are you going to say about working at a bagel place? You know, I like everything's. Of course you like everything's. Everything's are the best. So you can be funny. You can have fun with this. You can have fun with this. Babysitter. Oh, by the way, we don't use the word babysitter. It's called childcare. See? Childcare provider since grade 6. Description, regular sitters for neighborhood children, blah, blah, blah. I'm a pro at mediating arguments, providing band-aids, and playing Uno. Again, have fun with this. Have fun with this. You can list an activity more than once if you have multiple relationships. You play softball for your high school, you play on a traveling team, okay? You play clarinet in your high school orchestra, you play for PYO, okay? You can do that. You can absolutely do that. Although sometimes there may be some issues that you can't just describe in that little bit of space that you get. Common App does have an additional information section at the end, and you can use that. Okay, but let me go back to Common App. Common App, where are you? Are you here? Is this you? This is you. Okay, right. So here, let me give you some examples. Okay, community service, volunteer, position leadership, founder and leader, Community Service Corps, organization name, Community Service Corps, description, plan/organize outreach, blah, blah, blah. Second, job, paid work, construction laborer, Laborers International Union, Pennsauken, New Jersey, provided materials for skilled tradespeople, built scaffolding, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'll go all the way down. So where's my jewelry making? Here we go. Creator of jewelry pieces, self-employed, scoured beaches for dead horseshoe crabs, remove, clean, and preserve tails, varnish tails and cut appropriate holes, use welding arc to fashion metal. That's what I did. I gave them away because I don't think anyone would buy them, but they were good. Then my last activity, I was like that young woman I talked about. I was not going to do 9. So I go thrift store shopping like a wild man ever since I was in middle school. My aunts used to take me and I was like, this is great. I could buy a whole thing. So I still go. And so I put thrift store shopping as one of my activities to do. Right? So take a look at this as I scroll this, right? You'll probably agree with me. This looks pretty crappy, doesn't it? This looks really crappy, right? But I want to show you what it actually looks like to the people who read it. So at top of each of these sections, you see this oval that says preview. There you go. This is what it will look like to the people reading your common application. Much nicer, much, much cleaner to do. Okay, so don't worry about what it's going to look like as it's going in. That's what it's going to look like when it comes out, right? Can you group multiple activities into one? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll go back to that example with sports. If you do soccer for your school and for an outside team, absolutely. If you play in the orchestra and an ensemble, sure, put it together to do that. Absolutely, Josh. You just make sure that they're similar enough that you can actually bring them together like that to do.
Is there like a designated way? Is there a designated way to put them together to let them know that it's two, or would you just have to use the 150 characters to describe that?
Well, where it says position leadership, you get 50 characters there. And when you get organization name, you get 100 characters there. So you can use one of those, Josh. You can put in Bullhorn, woo. So yes, you can use one of those as well to do. And again, if it's something that's just how would I say this best? That just defies being put in these small areas, you can use the additional information section for that. I'll show you that at the end that we do. Okay. So that's activities. This is going to take you the most amount of time. I would absolutely encourage you, if you don't have a resume made now, start one. Because when you want to do this activity section, if you already have a resume, then all you have to do is access them and number them. This is the most important. This is the next most important. Going to make this a lot easier to do. Okay. So then the last section is writing. This is where your personal statement or your essay goes. Okay. So you check the little box that says, yes, I understand that I have to write an essay. But oddly enough, there's a bunch of schools that don't even read it. Penn State, Temple, Pitt, Arcadia, they don't read it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't put it in there. You should definitely put it in there because all these other guys are going to read it to do. So this is where the essay goes, is down here. And you'll be asked to, there's 7 different prompts that Common App gives you, asking about your background or identity, obstacles you've overcome, when did you challenge a belief, something that somebody's done for you that made you grateful. I'm going to give you some inside information now from college admissions. No one that I know in any admissions office that reads these essays even looks at what prompt you chose. I mean that. Let me say that again. No one even looks at the prompt that you chose. So don't let the prompt determine what essay you're going to write. Write the essay that you want. Write the essay that really shows genuinely something meaningful and important about you. Because you know what? It will fit one of these prompts. And if it doesn't fit the more literal ones, look at this number 7. Topic of your choice. Ding, ding, ding. Topic of your choice to do. So the essay goes in here. The essay, by the way, it's not upload. It's cut and paste unless you use Google Docs. Okay, you can upload from Google Drive, the only thing you can do. And then you have the additional information. There are 2 areas where you can give more information. One is specific to COVID. Did your family and you have any really hardship issues with COVID? Now, this has to be truly hardship. Can't be just COVID sucks. Yeah, we know that, it did suck. But this has to be, my father was out of work, my mother was incapacitated. Oh, I don't even want to say stuff like that to do. But this has to be something serious. And then additional information. If I'm going to major in dance, I'm going to put my dance resume in here. If I'm going to major in music, I'm going to put my music resume in here. If I have an activity that I can't really quite explain, or if I remember the Philadelphia Boys Choir, I have to quit when I'm in 9th grade because my voice changes. I want them to know about that because that was really quite an honor to do that. So this is where you can use that space. You do not use this space to just talk about something that you've already covered in the common application. This has to be something different here. Okay, so those are the required sections. And then there's one thing here called course and grades. 45 or so out of the 1,000 plus schools require this. And what is this? What does the University of Maryland want from me? Well, they want me to fill in the courses and grades that I had in these years. So for example, here's 11th grade. I took pre-calculus, I took physics, I took AP English language. This is my 11th grade year. So I put in all of my subjects. I put in the honors levels, the AP levels, my final grades, the credits that I received from that. And then they take it from there. They look at it from there to do. Okay. Now, there's not a lot of schools that ask for that. Thank goodness. Right? Can you group awards if you had more than 5 awards? Sure, absolutely, Jess. If you can do that, like if you got 3 different awards from the same group, you get 150 characters, 25 words or so. You can do that. Okay. You put in your grades for each grade of high school. Bella, not only do you do that, but if you've taken any high school classes in middle school, okay, right? So let me go back here, right? See where it says other courses, okay? So I took Algebra 1 and Spanish 1 when I was in 8th grade. So I put in the school year. This would be the year before I started high school. And I would put in algebra and Spanish. So yes, any high school classes taken in, just high school classes, not all your middle school classes, just high school classes, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And then for 12th grade, I don't have to list anything because I'll show you. What does it ask me for 12th grade? Well, it says, do you have 12th grade courses with official grades? No, I just started 12th grade. So I don't have to worry about 12th grade to do. And again, there's only about 45 schools. Maybe you'll get lucky and maybe you don't actually have to use it, right? So yes, debate, Josh, you can group debate. Absolutely, you can group debate to do. Okay, so that's the main menu, right? Now we're going to switch over to, these are the individual questions that colleges will ask, right? I agree with you, Gabs. These are the individual questions that colleges will ask of you, right? So each of these is going to look the same in their menu. So here's Boston College. So questions, recommenders, and FERPA. What the heck is that?
Real quick, Cigus, I'm just gonna do a time check. We have about, it's 7:42. We have till 8. So
Right.
just doing a quick time check.
Right. Okay. I'll talk fast. Recommend, FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And you have to vow to the colleges and the high schools that you are not going to edit or censor any of the information that's sent. That's basically what it is. They want to be able to trust it. So here's the questions that Boston Colleges is going to ask you. First are general questions. When do you want to start? When do you want to come? Blah, 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 right? Have you ever been convicted of a felony or disciplinary violation? Now, don't be scared by this disciplinary violation thing. This doesn't mean detention. No, this is suspension, expulsion. This is like a serious disciplinary action. So they're going to ask you about this. They're going to ask you about academics, what activities you're interested in, who contacts that they can pick, family. This is basically asking if you have any relatives that went to Boston College, and then writing. Okay. Now, you may have noticed, like, let's go, for example, let's go to Harvard here. right? And you see Harvard has questions, but then they have something called writing supplement. And they have another set of questions because Harvard requires you to write extra essays, right? But when you clicked on Boston College, you didn't see that. You didn't see that. So you're like, oh yeah, I'm applying here. No extra essays. But what happens now? Now you get to this writing section and oops. Please respond to one of the following prompts. So yes, I'm going to be writing another essay. So you've got to be really diligent, folks. You got to make sure that Northeastern has no supplemental essays as of now. As of now, unless, Josh, you apply to certain special programs. There are some programs like music business, for instance, that would require a separate essay to do. So yeah, there still are some schools. Wesleyan College in Wesleyan University in Connecticut doesn't have one to do. So there still are some that do that. Right? So this is your job, is that you have to look at each one of these and figure out what it is that you would need to do. So let's go to a local school. Let's go to good old Drexel. And let's go through the kinds of questions that they have. So I want to go full-time. I want to start in the fall. Admissions plan, regular decision. Of course, too late. I can't go early. Not going to submit my test scores. School-specific waivers. No, I don't have a Drexel waiver. Right, so that's a no. I have a regular waiver to do. Are you interested in financial aid? Oh, no. I'll just pay $1 million. Do you understand this requirement? Yes, I've got to complete the forms. Yes, I do. How many university classes do I have? That's a 0 to do. So all this stuff. And then for academics, Drexel is going to ask me about what major do I want, right? So let's say I chose animation and visual effects. Do I want to do a co-op? Meaning, do I want to get a paid internship? Yeah, right? What's my second choice major? Well, I'm also really interested in behavioral health counseling. Okay, do I want to do a co-op? Yeah, I want to do some for that. If we can't admit you to the majors, are you interested in being considered for other programs? Sure, sure. Do I want to apply to the honors program? Sure, sure. Now, by checking this box, folks, once I apply to Drexel, Drexel is going to send me an email saying, here's your honors program essay. Aha. They get you every other way to do this. And then Drexel asks you which of these math and science classes that you've had. Contacts, pretty simple. Right? Do you want to be contacted by mobile phone? So Drexel can text you. This is always a good idea to answer yes. And then family connections here. Okay. Any relatives ever attended Drexel? If you answer yes, they'll ask you sibling or grandparent to do. They already know your parents because you already described them in the main menu. And then if your father, mother, or guardian is a Drexel University employee, you get some extra points for that as well. So these are the types of questions that you're going to be asked by each school individually, and they're all different. Now, one last thing I'm going to say, then open it up to questions. Do not complete any of this section until August 1st before your senior year. The main menu of the Common Application, this part, this Common App part, this is open to you today. If you wanted to start it, it doesn't change. These questions change every year. Every year. So you could write one of these Boston College essays in May and have it disappear and have them put new ones out. Don't do that. It's okay to look at these to get a sense of like what questions you might be asked, but please don't fill any of that out because the Common App does what's called a rollover at the end of July. They get rid of all the old information and put in the new. So please don't be doing that. August 1st. August 1st. Okay. So there we go. Common App, there you are.